Hey folks, Rob here, bringing you an addendum to my last unbagging, which was Heated Battles Operation Mercury. They threw this in the bag, Heated Battles Buckeyes. Now this is 10 scenarios designed by Mark Pitcavage down from Desperation Morale, and looks like they're all going to be PTO based. So let's take a quick look at the inside and see what the 37th Buckeye Infantry Division on New Georgia and Bougainville in 4344, the Pacific Theater at its best. All right, so what we're looking at here is the inside cover sheet of the Heated Battle Buckeyes. Again, Mark Pitcavage Buckeyes, based on 37th ID in the Pacific Theater. So he does have the inside cover chock full of information about the Buckeyes, and looks like what they did during their time in the Pacific. Part of the 1st Marine Division. So it looks like the Buckeyes were called that because of its Ohio National Guard origins, which, if you're not an American, is much like the reserves in the UK or Territorial Army, I suppose, or the reserves up in Canada. Not your full-time soldiers. These are guys that go do their service, usually on weekends, holidays, that kind of stuff. That's the National Guard in essence. Now, this one division called the Buckeyes is based from there, and this, as I said, is Mark Pitcage's history of the Buckeyes in battle. Right. Back cover, a nice little summary. Again, we have Mark Pitcavage, and then we have, again, lots of play testing. So we have lots of play testing here, lots of names. They look a lot familiar from Heated Battle, no doubt. And I'm sure Mark did an excellent job of this as well. So let's look at the scenarios. Now, as I usually do, you're going to see the orders of battle always blocked out, just so that you have to actually get these things yourself. Now, this first one is Buckeyes 1, and it is 2 map boards, 34, 36. Looks like we do have an overlay, American versus Japanese. And we have about 13 American squads versus 13 Japanese squads. Part of the Kier 6th Special Naval Landing Force versus the 3rd Battalion, 148th Infantry, again, of the Buckeyes Division. So we have 6.5 turns. We only have 2 SSRs to worry about. And we have a nice detailed historical perspective, which is really cool to see. Number 2, Repel Deppels No More. I'm not sure what that reference to. I'm sure it's in here. This time we have the 1st Battalion, 145th Infantry of the Buckeyes facing off against the 13th IR of the Japanese. We're looking at probably 10 American squads versus 9 Japanese in this 7-turn game, which uses 2 half boards, 37, 38 again. And we have 5 SSRs, including Kindling is an A, and night rules are in effect. So 3 hexes, and I don't remember the boards, but I assume there's going to be a lot of dense jungle in there, so that might complicate things even more so. We have number 3, Helen Horseshoe Hill, four SSRs, and we have, this one's got a lot. It's got about 13 or so squads with some fortifications for the Japanese. And attacking that, you're going to have, looks to be about 18 Americans, including engineers who have flamethrowers and a couple of DCs to help deal with the 3 pillboxes that the Japanese set up in. Interesting for SSR number 4 is the American does have 3 60mm mortars, and if you know anything about the Americans, you know that you can trade 3 of those on-board mortars for a 60mm OBA module, which you cannot do in this game. And as we said, 2 half boards, 47, 38. This one does have an overlay as well, HI 7. I'm not sure which one that is. And HI5. So I assume these are going to be hill overlays. And you require 2 of them to probably to extend past board 47. Number 4, Flame and Frank. We have Japanese setting up first, Americans moving first. 7.5 turns. Once more, uses those same 2 boards. And it looks to be the same 2 overlays as in number 3. Now, there are 4 SSRs. The second one says all the US 667 squads are actually assault engineers, of which you have 2. And you do have 2 flamethrowers and 2 DCs to augment them. So you also get an American hero, which is pretty cool. Looks like there's 14, 15 plus 3 coming on reinforcement American squads facing off against a good dozen entrenched and pillbox capable Japanese. Looks like an interesting SSR is number 3. After Japanese setup is complete, the Japanese player makes a secret die roll for each MMC. And on a result of 6, the MMC is step reduced. If it's a half squad already, it is replaced with a half squad of the next lower class of units. So I assume they do have 8 concealment, so you could set up concealed, in which case your opponent wouldn't know until they actually bust your concealment whether or not you've been a step reduced or a replaced half squad. So that's kind of cool. Number 5, Men Remembered Well. We have 8.5 turns. It's a bit of a lengthy one. And we have only 3 SSRs, one of which has the American suffering from ammo shortage, which is never a good sign, considering that they already are 666s. Normally you suffer some form of ELR replacement, so I could see you dropping down a lot from your 666 status. Now you do have 22 American infantry, which is a lot, and you're only facing off against, 10? Again, Japanese are entrenched, and they do have pillboxes and foxholes. Now there is 47, 32 half-boards that we're using. We don't have any overlays, and there is a road on board 47 that does not exist. It's treated as normal level 0 terrain. Now, American 447 squads represent groups of walking wounded, stretcher bearers, and escorts. The inherent firepower of these MMCs is always halved as area fires. So while you do have 10 of them, they're not going to be that much help. You're always going to have 2 firepower, even at a 4x range. And, of course, 1 if you go beyond that. Plus, they add a +1 to all close combat die rolls and cannot double time. Wow. They can use support weapons, but they cannot move with them because they have no IPC reflecting their wounded status. That's very interesting. Buckeyes number 6, big guns at Bibelo. We have Japanese setting up, Americans moving first. Looks to be board NG. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, it's the Nipponga map from Annual 97. So you're going to have to get the Annual 97 to see the map that this entails. But it looks to be using the whole map sheet. I guess it's got to be pretty small to fit inside an annual. I think I'll throw up a picture of that in the middle of this unbagging. 5 SSRs, Americans first and elite units may always use FT and DC without non-qualified use penalties. So since you have 15 first line American squads plus a couple of other stuff, you're going to be able to use your 2 flamethrowers without having to worry about penalties, as well as a DC. Now, there's no dense jungle in this map, contrary to what the map shows, and there are some huts apparently on the map as well that do not exist. SSR number 5, again, is an interesting variation. This American radio of which you have one, can be used by any leader who, with a successful radio contact die roll, may direct an 81 mortar fire as if you were an adjacent onboard spotter. So outside of radio contact, no other OBA rules are in effect for this radio. Radio maintenance die rolls are made as if battalion mortar OBA, which means that you get a -1 to your maintenance die roll. So you don't have to be set up adjacent. You can set up your 3 81 mortars, which you have, and one of your 80s can sit there with the radio. It does not have to be adjacent, and he gets the spotter rules, which basically adds a +2 to any of your shots. So it's going to cancel out any kind of white phosphorus and or smoke mission, and your HE is going to be dropping down by 2 to hit as well, barring any other line of sights. So that's a really good use for that, I think. We have Buckeyes 7 up the Numa Trail. Now we have Japanese attacking versus Americans set up. And looks to be a bunch of carrier squads, HSR-2. All right, so you have 8 106 prisoner counters, which are going to be used to represent native carriers toting equipment and supplies. Carry units may never become armed, nor may they move adjacent to Japanese units. So these are basically your portees that are carrying around a lot of your kit, if you so choose. They cannot be used as spotters for the American mortar either, which kind of makes sense. And the Japanese player gets 1 CVP for each squad eliminated, but no VP for capturing. So they're just extra units that you can throw in to carry supplies and such, which are not really represented in the game. Now, they want you to use British counters for the 7457 infantry with a couple of officers to represent the Fiji troops, which are treated like British. However, they are stealthy. 1 Fiji squad equivalent in any SMC support open stack with it may set up HIP. 6 turns, and it uses up 2 full map boards, 34, 36, which PTO, we have light jungle in effect. And all streams are deep, so there's going to be a couple of streams that are going to be impassable, and they're definitely going to funnel the Japanese over the 6-turn scenario. Number 8, we have cut slash and mow them down. So this is to map boards 3, 9, and 5. You can see this is a large wooded area up here, and this, I believe, is a hill feature on 39, but again, I'm not sure. The boards, we have 7 turns and a lot of troops. This one's going to be a bit intensive. We have Americans defending versus Japanese. We only have 6 SSRs to worry about. We do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 overlays, and night rules are in effect. So with the 4 NVR hex, we have light jungle, which can be very difficult, slow moving for the Japanese. Americans get a module of 100mm OBA, HE, and IR, and you can record up to 2 pre-registered hexes for it. You can also exchange radio for a field phone, fairly common in defensive ops, which makes your chances of failing at radio contact a lot less, obviously. Now, Americans can deploy any of their AdStar forces. I assume this means beyond the typical 10%. You can deploy your whole complement. Now, in terms of troops, we're looking at least 22 squad equivalents and a plethora of support weapons, mortars, HMGs. I don't see a 50 cal in here. And we do have, yep, we do have 250 cals. And we have 50 minefield factors, not to mention fortifications for the Americans. So this is going to be quite involved. Japanese are going to be attacking this with what looks to be 24 units at start, with a further 9 coming on turn 3 for reinforcements. Americans also get 6 reinforcements coming on, and they're defending with 16 squad equivalents. with another, I guess I said 6 coming on. Fairly leader heavy. We have 5 American leaders starting on board for their 16 troops, and then which is almost a 1-to-3 ratio. And then we have 2 leaders coming on with the 6. Triple six is coming on turn 3. So Japanese, for their part, also have 7 leaders total, of which 2 of them are going to be entering on turn 3. So a lot of leaders in this one. But again, night rules are in effect, so it should be fairly interesting. Oh, and heavy rain is falling too, so there's going to be mist. It's going to be quite easy, I would think, for stealthy Japanese to approach the Americans. Buckeyes number 9 to take back a hill. We have 5 SSRs. We have complicated setup information. So no Japanese unit may enter any hex row Z or west of hex row L. Anything forced to do so is eliminated due to U.S. forces not represented in this scenario. So it limits some Japanese movement. Prior to setup, the U.S. player must declare he's conducting a hasty, delayed, or prepared attack, of which determines what kind of things happen. So we could have a hasty attack, for example, no bore sighting for the Japanese, no ammo shortage, no OBA, no pregame bombardment, and a couple of other things. And of course, it depends on what you want to do. Japanese pillbox may not set up hidden, and tunnels are NA. And this here is also another sheet for continuing on with number 9. This is for and on the back of number 10 we have a duplicate of Buckeyes number 9, so you can both have one. Interesting. Looking at number 10, we have Buckeye Blitzkrieg. This one is Japanese defending versus Americans on the attack. 7.5 turns, 2 half boards, 37-32. Rain cannot occur on turn 1, so it looks like we have overcast conditions. Yeah, we do, which means basically if you roll a 10 or more, rain will start, except on the first turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 overlays on the 2 boards, 2 half boards. Prior to Japanese setup, the U.S. player may place up to 6 wire counters and 3 foxholes within the Japanese setup area. These are defense positions that were overrun by the Japanese, and I assume the Americans are going to try and take them back. If a non-hidden Japanese unit sets up on one of these hexes, any wire counter is removed, while any foxholes may be retained if the Japanese player so chooses. So the Japanese could theoretically remove a lot of your defensive fortifications if he so choose. Yeah, okay, that's number 2 is, I'm just having trouble grokking what it's saying right now, but basically it is a chance for a non-hidden Japanese unit to possibly remove it. Well, why you would probably depends on what your objectives are. Typically, I've heard that foxholes tend to be death traps because of the extra move required to leave it, as opposed to entering it. So you can pay 2 to enter a foxhole, or you have to pay 1 to exit it, and then 1 to move into adjacent hex. So it's if you get broken inside a foxhole, there's always a chance of being interdicted. So that's why I think a lot of people don't do it. I don't know if that's the way the rules intended, but that's what people are doing. Now we have pillboxes cannot be set up hidden, of which there's 5 for the Japanese. Well as that, they have some guns, and we're looking at probably about 15 squad equivalents. Americans are assaulting with 16 squad equivalents and AA gun, which should be interesting to move around, as well as 3 tanks which enter on turn 1. 7.5 turns, as I said, for this 2 half map scenario, we have overcast conditions again, and PTO terrain is in effect, obviously including light jungle. All right, so that was a quick look at Heat of Battle's Buckeyes scenario pack from Mark Pitcavage, all PTO based, and even has a nice little diagram on the back, which it didn't really zoom into, showing you the areas that they were involved in 43, 44. So again, this was just thrown into my Crete Operation Merkur package that I got from Heat of Battle. Not sure why. Thank you very much for that. If that's a oopsie, my bad. But I guess I got a free module or a scenario pack out of the deal, as well as, again, those counters that do not serve any purpose for Crete, but they come with other Heat of Battle products. So this is a 2003 Buckeyes. Not sure how available it is. Again, whether or not that was a mistake on behalf of Heat of Battle. If anybody from Heat of Battle is watching, that's the case, I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say. If you played any of the scenarios, very interesting what Mark Pitcavage has done. I like to think that I'll be able to play a couple of these. It should be really fun. I like them when they're based, I mean, they're all based on historical perspectives, but when you go into depth like this, including, a 2-page summary of all the actions over the historical days, I think it adds just a little bit of extra flavor to the product. So that's Heat of Battle Buckeyes. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.